I want it to be funny, but let's just skip this. For whether you have, but I was like, oh my god, One Piece, one of us. Here's a little disclaimer. I do have a little bit of a script for this video, but it's still going to be very chaotic because I am me, and I suppose I've never really done a sit-down video where I'm going to be sharing information and experiences, so please bear with me. Hopefully you will get something out of this video, whether you're going to Wordfest next year or you're going to a general bookish event at some point in your life. Welcome to the vlog. Today we're gonna have a bit of a sit-down video. Let's get comfortable. Well, I have my bevy right here, but if you want, grab yourself a bevy of your choice, because today we are going to talk about Wordfest, or more generally, bookish events. Okay, let's go. Okay, so what is Wordfest? I have had the pleasure of going to Wordfest in Calgary. Wordfest was hosted October 14th to October 19th. Let's start off with a little bit of a story time. I am not originally from Canada. I did not know about literary events happening in Calgary. If you were to ask me up to maybe a couple months ago, I did not think Alberta had much of a literary scene or like a bookish scene until somebody from Wordfest reached out to me if I wanted to potentially sign up as a bookstagrammer-in-residence. And that's when I found out, oh my god, there is so much literature happening in Calgary and they're asking me to be a part of this. This is amazing. And that's how I got linked to one of my dearest friends now, Ashley. I asked her, okay, what is Wordfest to you? What do you think Wordfest is? Or like, how do you explain Wordfest to other people? And I have a bit of an excerpt of a voice note that she sent me.
Hi, Maral. Okay, so I'm going to make this really informal and just chit-chat. So one of your questions were, what is Wordfest? And I always have this like formal answer. And I always say Wordfest, and I think this comes from their website, is a not-for-profit arts organization that caters to, obviously, the arts audience, as well as the literary audience. And then they also take their funds, because they're not-for-profit, and put them into youth events. So they hold free events for youth through their schools, and then they have books for them as well at those events, so they go into the classroom, and I think that's really important. So that is kind of my formal answer of what Wordfest is. To me, Wordfest is this amazing, magical literary community that I love so much. Obviously there's authors, so they've either written a book, typically is the one that's getting interviewed, and then the host, which I also think is another element, ties in with the author typically. Some of them can be journalists, some of them can be friends of the author, fans of the author, and I think it's so fun to see the interaction with the moderator and the author. So fun. And then the discussions that come out of it are so, how do I say, they're so insightful. They can also be so hilarious or so emotional. And I just love it so much. Like, every show is different. I take away something from every show.
I'm going to echo what Ashley said. It really is a magical community to be a part of. I, for instance, had no bookish friends. So Wordfest was a gateway for me to find friends, like-minded friends who also read books. I got to learn about so many new authors, so many new genres that I otherwise would not have picked up. Girl, I picked up a horror book. Come on, I do not read horrors and thrillers, but you know what, hold up. I actually, where are we? Julie Chan is dead. I bought that book. Brand new book. I do not read horror books. I do not go towards horror or even thriller. Like, I just can't see myself reading that and then have a restful sleep for the next week. Does that make sense? I sign up for the event where Leanne Zhang is going to talk about her book and about influencing in general. I am sold. I am sold. So I'm going to read my first horror book at some point, hopefully still this year. And that is the magic that is Wordfest. That is the community that is Wordfest. I never buy new books. Hardly ever buy new books. If I ever own a book, it's because either somebody gifted it to me or I bought it secondhand. I do now have a couple of new books that I am planning to donate after I finish, unless obviously it leaves such a great impact on me that I want to keep it and I want to scribble in it, take notes. But I want to make sure that whatever book I read, I'm sure other people would want to read it too. So probably will go to the library or any other secondhand bookstore. Anyway, back to being a bookstagrammer-in-residence. That basically just means that you will use your platform to capture the essence that is Wordfest, whether that is through a YouTube video, reels for Instagram, pictures, TikTok, somewhat of an influencer, or just a content creator. So I was picked. I got to be part of the Bookstagrammers-in-Residence. I did not know what to expect. Honestly, I was nervous. I was super nervous because I'm a small creator. I didn't even know how they had found me until I got to meet all the other Bookstagrammers-in-Residence, and everybody was so kind and they were all so excited to share their knowledge, share their content. Let's just say that the nervousness went away. I would say it's one of the best places to find like-minded people. You do have to set yourself out there, but I have been living with this mantra of to be cringe is to be free, and you're going to be in an environment where everybody loves reading, everybody loves books. I will also admit that if I were to go by myself, I might not have been as open, but the ambiance of a literary event is just, I just hope you're not thinking of self-sabotaging because you're an introvert or you're nervous. Take this as my advice. If you love reading, you will find your people, especially in an event like this. All right, so you have decided to go to Wordfest next year. Maybe our influencing took effect and you're like, heck yeah, I want to go to Wordfest next year. Or you're going to go to any other general bookish event. How do you prepare? There goes a little bit of preparation into going these events. Let's say you've allowed yourself a little treat. So you're going to buy yourself some books. First and foremost, bring yourself a tote bag. Bring yourself any bag, really. And take this from me. I beg of you, be careful with your drinks. So I went home with 2 books. I put them in my tote bag with my water bottle. And now my books have water damage because my bottle was leaking. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, okay. You can see there is water damage on this book, and I am gutted. I am gutted. Okay, now I'm done with this tangent. So in terms of preparation, bring a bag. Be careful of any beverage that you take with you. And I also think Ashley has a couple more for you to take into account. So let's go listen to that.
So one of the things that I do at shows is I take notes. So I have my phone out discreetly as possible. And I try to take notes of quotes they say that I want to be reminded of later. Sometimes I post it to my stories as a highlight of the night. And then there's this signing. Dear God, this is kind of all over the place. Sorry. So, okay, the signing is there's pre-prep. So I'm going to go pre, as in get the book. Do I always read the book beforehand? No. And I think some people are afraid to go to signings because they think the author is going to quiz them. Maybe they're worried about spoilers. Sometimes there are minor spoilers. Typically, Wordfest shows tries to stick to no spoilers, but sometimes there are minor spoilers that I think by the time you read the book you'll forget about. But to me, the way that I see the whole reading portion is I find that the author is almost trying to sell their book to you, not so much as in like a sales person way, but the show can also be a format of convincing you to read their book. I find actually that going to the show before even reading the book gives it an added layer to when I get to the book. So I almost sometimes enjoy not reading the book prior to the show and getting to know the author and the author's style prior to reading the book. And then when I get into the book, I remember what authors have said, or what they've discussed, or their views, or their writing process. I think it is not mandatory, and in fact might be more fun to go to Wordfest shows without having read the book and just getting to know the author first.
So Ashley, bless her soul, she's so cute. She made us all these little back charms, and I'm obsessed with it. Because it also gets you to talk about something when you go and meet an author. Wordfest is a big event. It's a huge event, but it's designed in a way that it's so intimate that you could give them crafty gift.
Sometimes I make something for the author. So last year I made a friendship bracelet for Anita Prose. She's been to Wordfest a couple times. She had like a couple big events. So I wanted her to have something to remember it by.
I got to talk to Lian Zhang, and I was in line. I immediately could go in front of her, and I kind of panicked. And I remember going back to one of Ashley's advice to like take notes. I remembered that she mentioned anime a couple times, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna ask her. I'm so excited about this. So I went up, and she was signing the book, and I was like, hey, like, you talked about anime a couple times. What is an anime that impacted you the most when you were a kid? Ugh. There was a picture of me where I'm like almost aggressively pointing at her tattoos, like, oh my gosh, because she had said that she got a really subtle One Piece tattoo, and I'm pointing at it quite aggressively. I'll put it somewhere here, but I was like, oh my god, One Piece, one of us. Like, because why would you be chill? I don't know how to be chill. Both Ashley and my other friend Kendall, they touched upon the subject of scheduling. Some of these shows play at the same time. There are certain times in the day there will be, I think, at least one show, and I think a maximum of like 3 shows that play at the same time. So you can be like Ashley and be psychotic and try to go to all the shows.
I'm psychotic.
Or you don't have to. My advice, because these shows, they can sell out pretty fast. Try to follow these organizers on Instagram, sign up for their newsletter, go on their website. In this case, for Wordfest, by the time that I had been chosen to be a bookstagrammer-in-residence, there were a couple of shows that were already sold out, which then brings me to looking into what kind of ticket you want. Let's see.
My advice for Wordfest is to get the pass that lets you go to any events, and then to go to as many as possible. It's such a great way to read outside of your normal genres, discover new authors, and meet a lot of people. It's a really community-oriented event at the end of the day, and I think that was one of the funnest parts.
Would highly recommend investing in a pass that lets you go to everything, or like a multiple day pass. Girl, make a whole party out of it. Otherwise, each show that you go to is only $25, and I think if you live far away or you're only one day of the event, totes worth it. Which brings me, now that we're at the topic of scheduling, pack yourself the water bottle. Just, again, don't put it with your books. Bring yourself some snacks. There is something planned at every moment of the day. Sometimes it can go through your lunch break, it can go through your dinner, and that's it. This is my Hopefully not as chaotic as I'm filming this. I have no clue. But hopefully this is a bit of a comprehensive little guide. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.